Hello and welcome to New Earth Lifestyles. I'm Janie King, your host of the show, and thank you for joining us today. Today is February 27th, 2014, and we're in Manchester, New Hampshire, cold and wintry. And our guest today is Karissa Dorman. She is a psychic medium from Nashua, New Hampshire. So I'm glad that you're here,
Thank
Karissa.
you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Pleasure to be here away from the cold.
I know, it is. It's nice and warm in the studio here.
Yeah.
So before we get going, I just wanted to say a little bit about this show, New Earth Lifestyles, that I began a year ago in April, and give thanks to the Greater Manchester Holistic Meetup Group and Lisa Ouellette, who is my sponsor on the show, and if it weren't for Lisa signing her sponsorship papers, I wouldn't be here. And the more I do this show, the more I really realize that my introvert kind of gets dampened and my extrovert comes out. And I really enjoy being in front of the camera and being spontaneous about life, about new earth lifestyles, new things that we can learn about life, like shifting. The consciousness of the earth is shifting, and there's a new world order coming in, I believe, where we're opening our heart, we're being compassionate, and the healing modalities, the softer healing modalities are coming to the forefront. And so giving you, the audience, an opportunity to look at new ways of living based on what my guests bring along and what I might bring along or what might be happening in the world or whatever. So thanks for being with me, and us, with us. And thank you to John O'Neill, my technical director today, and to Manchester TV, Manchester Public Television, for the space. This is beautiful space. So, absolutely. Karissa Dorman, thank you for being here. You are a psychic medium.
I am.
So, how long have you been doing this?
Well, I've had for several years now professionally. It's one of those things that's usually with you your whole life, but the process of figuring out exactly how that fits into your life doesn't come with the gift. There's no manual that comes with you as you're being born, which would be really nice.
That's true. We can talk about the manual that comes with life, which is a non-existent.
Exactly. Just like that one you're always hoping for with parenting that never shows up. So
right.
It's a little bit like that. It's a self-discovery process. And for me, I had a lot of experiences as a child that I didn't understand. And that was, interesting, if you will. I thought I was a really good test taker in high school. I just aced all the tests, but I didn't have to do any homework. So, psychically getting my way through the classes I preferred not to pay as much attention into. And,
wow.
I thought I had a photographic memory or all these different explanations that I came up with over a lifetime, I guess, if you will. And then as I got a little bit older, the spirit activity picked up around me, and I just happened to move to another house with a lot of paranormal activity around me. And so that, you can't really ignore that, right?
No, you
can
can't.
ignore when you're hearing the conversations from spirit around you and things like that. You can consciously choose to ignore those. Not that it does you much good, but
so tell us more about that paranormal activity in your house.
Well, I had all sorts of, I guess if you say, electronic devices being turned on and off. We had a video baby monitor with lots of orbs flying around all the time. Couldn't ever get them away from my son.
What are orbs?
Yeah. Orbs, basically just spirit activity, if you will. They look like a ball of light. I do often see them with my naked eye. That's something that has, as I've gotten more in touch with my gift, has progressed with me. So I see them naked eye way or on video cameras and pictures. Sometimes people pick them up in pictures and they look like these beautiful balls of light, different sizes, and often that is Spirit's way of physically interacting with us in the world. So
that's Spirit physically interacting with us in the world.
That's my take on it.
Great.
No right or wrong answers.
Well, I have
really
seen them in pictures I've taken, and I realized it's interesting how that works. At the same time, I think I read about orbs, or I was hearing about them other places. So
absolutely, yeah. Diana Cooper does a lot of great work with different books on orbs and how they manifest with angels and other ascended masters as well. So everybody has a different take on whether they're just loved ones around you or if they are coming more in as angelic energy. And I prefer to see it as both. So
both,
yeah, absolutely.
Angelic forms and energy of whatever, spirit energy.
Yeah, crossed over loved ones or people you don't know. So,
well, I remember a few years ago, my dad had bought this pony that I was going to be, well, someone was going to train to drive for him, and we went to this indoor arena, and my father came over to see how he was doing, because I was actually ended up doing the training, and the pony was it was an indoor arena, horse arena, and the pony was standing there, my father was standing there, and when I looked at the pictures afterwards, because I wanted a picture of all of us together, there were orbs all over the place. They're like bubbles. They're like looking at bubbles in the photograph, and so I was always curious if that who was that was there. You know, is it about this because the pony's name was Spirit.
Oh well, perfect.
And he looked just like the movie Spirit. He was the same color, black mane and tail.
Oh great.
And he was named Spirit. So it was all kinds of, you know, very interesting interaction and very interesting stuff going on that I really haven't explained to myself.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. And some people say, oh, they could be dust and, you know, particles like that. But you can usually see a difference. You know, orbs and pictures that I would say is spirit activity, the color is usually multidimensional. You can see, you know, the edges sort of look more gathered and different colors in the middle of the center of the orb, if you will. And so if you really look closely, you can tend to see quite a difference. But, you know.
Right. Well, dust you would think would be a spot that might be expanded, but these were, you know, pretty good size.
Absolutely.
Bubbles, like bubbles in your picture.
Absolutely.
Like if you blow bubbles with a little bubble thing.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people feel that horses are very spiritual animals, so
yes,
that would make sense.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, and I really love hearing more about. So when you were taking tests, because I think it was the same with Lisa told me the same thing, and that you were really good in school, and you couldn't understand why, but it was because you were psychic and able to what? Psychically get the answer without studying.
It just looks like the answer shining out at you. You know, if you look at the, 5 different answers and you think, well, it's clearly B. I don't know why it's B. I just know that it is B.
Oh, okay. So the answer sort of told you which answer it was, or the paper.
If you will. They sort of jump off the paper a little bit.
So it was a multiple choice type of question.
Things like that, yeah. I mean, I didn't solely get by on that. Did have to use my good old brain too, but it definitely made things easier. Yeah.
Great.
Particularly for the classes, you're just not as interested in.
Right, and so if there's people out there, kids out there that might be watching the show, or parents wondering whether their kids are doing well in school, they might have a little psychic ability
exactly.
that they're not aware of and able to read things,
right? Yeah.
Or read energy or get information.
Or just know things. A lot of, for me as a child, that was what stuck out for my mom. She'll tell me different stories now. Just knowing things, like she took me into Victorian homes, and I would say, well, there was like an old heat vent, and I'd never seen one because it was very old-fashioned, and I said, gets hot, Mama, gets really hot. And I was 2, so I wasn't talking much, and things like that. She just said, always stuck out in my memory, and then, she'd go out from time to time and say, well, where was I last night? And I'd say, I see cappuccino shops and limos, and she was like, oh, I was sitting drinking cappuccino and I saw 8 limos in a row go by, and I was thinking how much you would love to see it, and things like that. So we just played around with it. We didn't take it too seriously or anything like that, and it was fun growing up.
So your mom had fun with you in the things you saw.
She was very open. She has the intuitive ability as well. So it's passed down during my maternal line.
I see.
Yeah. So I mean, she read cards while I was growing up, always with the tarot cards and consulting things as well. I don't think she realized probably how much of her ability was affecting her life, but definitely played with it. So it was very open, but the spirit piece was different for everybody.
What do you mean by the spirit piece?
Well, with the mediumship part, I would say that was different for her. That was new to her, saying, well, why do I remember being younger and overhearing conversations and telling her, I'm hearing people talk at night. It didn't make sense, but I'm hearing people talk at night, but I can also see them in these trench coats and these like sort of fedora hats in the 1940s era. My grandparents had lived with us at the time, and it was old war buddies of my grandfather's, but I didn't know this. And I just said, they're talking about a war and things like this. And, that was kind of different for everybody. They thought maybe you're just dreaming, or it was late at night or things like that. And so those pieces I didn't really put into perspective until I sort of got pushed along and moved in with the spirit activity and the paranormal piece in another house later on. So that sort of led me to really reach out to people. What's going on in my house? Things are turning on. I'm seeing all sorts of stuff and different smells and all sorts of different pieces. And then I reached out to other people, and along my way found Reiki and all these other things. And it just kind of, honestly, it just clicked for me. I thought, this makes sense. All of these things clicked, and the mediumship piece just came in really, really strong, really intensely, and a lot of things in my life made sense, and I felt very liberated, finally understanding what it was.
Great. You felt liberated.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because something was kind of constricting you.
Something was always trying to get my attention, and you just don't feel validated when other people don't understand what it is. Not that they're trying to invalidate you; they just don't understand either. And so, once you finally go, oh, that's why. I happen to live at a bunch of different houses that were very close in proximity to different graveyards or spiritual sites, and always felt really strong energy in different places, or would see people from pioneer dress and things like that. So it all clicked for me once I finally.
So tell me, how do you see people in pioneer dress? I mean, so you actually can look over over my shoulder and see someone that's dressed in a certain way, and
it's difficult to describe. It's a little bit like there's sort of multiple things that are happening at once. I'm seeing the images of the person more clearly internally, more like the details of facial structure, color, hair, things like that.
Internally inside of you?
More internally inside of my mind. But I'm seeing almost like the figure of where they interact with you in the physical world. And I see where they're standing and how they interact with you in sort of like a body form. But again, the more clear details are in my mind's eye, if you will, if that makes sense. It's almost like I try to tell people, like the baseball cards where they have the little 3D holograms on the side of them. It's almost like that when you're seeing them physically next to somebody. It's the best job I can do explaining it.
Okay,
it's still not perfectly
fine.
clear.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. You kind of grew up being psychic and not knowing you were psychic, and became pretty good at school on some of the classes because you were psychic, even though you didn't. I mean, because you could answer the questions, and even though you didn't study. And tell me about. Did you have any kind of life-changing experiences of aha moments or something like that? That might
plenty of them.
Or one that stands out that other people might relate to, what might be happening in your life and not know other people's lives.
Yeah, well, I can say that I grew up. My grandparents and we lived in the same household, and I was very, very close to my maternal grandmother my entire life, and when she got sick and she had developed cancer and she was very ill, that was incredibly difficult for me. And I starkly switched everything I was going to school for, and I decided to go pre-med. And so there you go. I was good enough to get into pre-med programs, so I wasn't just psychically cheating through everything. But but I was very steadfast about it, and I just put all my effort into being pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to work in oncology. I was just so passionate about it because I watched her losing this struggle, and there was a downtrodden feel to it. There was only so much that they could do for her, and so it was really difficult, and I just wanted to be able to do more. And so I put all my eggs in that basket, and Spirit kept coming, probably in little ways, trying to kick me off of that path. And finally, I got into a car accident, actually 2 weeks into my internship, after a summer break in college. And I had a great, wonderful internship in a scientific division. I was studying all these different pieces, and I got into a car accident that left me disabled for a couple years. Wow. And I had a really difficult time with it. I was in a ton of pain. I couldn't do much. I was in my very, very early 20s. I think it was 21, and it was depressing. Mm-hmm. I couldn't see through the grayness of, what does this mean for me? What do I do now? I can't go on with that program. I kept trying to go back to school, and I was in too much physical pain to be able to continue. So at the time, it was really difficult for me. And then maybe about 2 years in, basically that's when the paranormal piece came in. And I couldn't understand at the time, and I kept saying, well, this must have happened for a reason, but I just don't know why yet. And, the more I branched out and understanding my gifts, the more I realized that I was put here to do this, and that Spirit was going to do whatever they needed to do to get me off of that track, because this is how I'm meant to be more helpful and healing to people. And I believe that that's why I got taken off of that path. And so although it was a difficult process, I'm incredibly thankful for it now.
Mm-hmm. So how did Spirit speak to you? How did you become aware that it was, you were asking the question of there must be a greater purpose to all this, but how did Spirit come in? I mean, obviously it knocked you off your rocker there for a little bit.
It did.
Really
Physically.
big time.
Yes.
So, I mean, did it come in your ear? Did you hear this big voice, or did you all of a sudden see something? Or
For me, it's more hearing and hearing. Like, I work with my guides. We all have spiritual guides around us, and it's hearing that voice. And this is how I explain it to people. People go, well, how do I know that it's not just me making up that voice? I said, well, I know it's that voice because it often disagrees with me, or it's often trying to push me to do things that I'm not comfortable doing. And so that for me is usually that big differentiation. Okay, well, I know that must be my guides talking because I'm not really keen on that idea. And so I had that sense, and I credit my mom and my grandmother always giving me the knowledge of everything does happen for a reason, and I knew I was going to get there, and I just couldn't figure out why. And so
get where?
Get to that place where perspective, I guess, is what I was looking for.
Get to a different perspective of why this happened to you?
Of the accident and why I got taken off of my program and all those other pieces. So
yeah, because you were really, it sounded like you were dedicated to becoming a doctor, and you were right in that huge spot of becoming an intern. Wow. I was
very determined. Yeah, I thought I could see through the clearing for all of it, but but I know it took a long time. It was a really deep struggle, especially with the physical pain. And it's hard because I didn't have broken bones. I had a lot of tissue damage. So it was even hard for the doctors to say, well, I don't know if you've continued to have this much tissue damage and pain. I don't know that it's ever going to get any better. So I was facing doctors telling me that, well, you might feel this way forever. And so it was really difficult.
Scary.
It was scary. It was a dark period for me. But I came out of it when I did come out of it so quickly and so fast.
What triggered you to come out of it?
I think one day I was just sick of hearing that it wasn't going to get better. And I said, I'm done with this. I'm not interested anymore. And basically any medication you have for me, okay, I'm done. And I said, I want to, just free myself of all of it. And
so you said you were done.
I was done.
And were you how were you able to walk around at that point?
Yeah, I was walking. I was using a cane at one point, so I had some limited mobility. But I had actually developed other different illnesses due to the medications that they had put me on.
Oh, wow.
So after that process, I was going, okay, well, something's not right here. Obviously, they don't know everything that they're telling me that they do. If this is clearly just a guessing game, because, well, we can try this and see if it gets better. Well, it got worse. So I said, okay, well, let's go the opposite way here and throw everything out the window. And I did, and I felt better. And so that
was your choice to stop.
That was my choice.
Stop all the meds and see what happened.
Throw the cane out the window.
Throw the cane out the window.
Exactly. Yeah, it was tough. It was really difficult, but my husband's incredibly supportive, and so I've always...
Oh, you're with your husband then?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was lucky to meet him very early. So we've been together since I was 18, which sounds crazy, but he's an incredibly supportive man.
Fantastic.
Yes, it's been very wonderful to have somebody on the journey with you.
Absolutely. So he's been there all this time, all along that difficult path for you.
Yes, he has.
Wow,
always
what
encouraging
a big heart he has.
He does indeed.
Wow, that's
It's
great.
been a journey for him too. We've both grown in our belief systems and our experiences, and he's been so supportive. It's been fantastic. And he encouraged me, say, okay, well, right, you're not feeling better, so let's do something different. And so we did. And I had branched out into some of the alternative health pieces, and that led me to, holistic approach to lifestyle and things like that. And, getting more in with your intuition and, just reading different books and tuning in. And as you know, the louder spirit's voice gets, the more you pay attention.
Right.
And so then they led me to that. We moved into a house with the spirit activity. And that led me to reach out to other people to say, my house is maybe haunted. Could you help me out? And that's when other people looked at me and said, it might not be the house. It might be you. And so I said, that was scary to hear at first. But then they just said, no, it's a gift. It's a good thing. And I think if we put these things in place for you, you'll see how it makes sense. And when they taught me sort of how to tune in and basically build some control around it, because that's the scary part, right? Is not having any control.
I don't know about control around what you're hearing.
Or no boundaries, basically, of interacting with spirit all the time.
So some of the boundaries are you can say, please, let's do this another time, or
absolutely.
I don't have time right now, or I don't want to do it right now.
Absolutely. One of the first pieces I had to say was, okay, I don't need any dead people in my doorway at 5 a.m, right? Nobody needs that. No. And I, at that time, I had a son, and he was almost 1, and so he was just... being woken up. He's also incredibly sensitive, so he was being disturbed as well by all of this. So I had to go in and create some boundaries, and Spirit, they want what's best for you. So they're more than happy to work within your
Well, that's good to know. They really do
boundaries.
want what's best for you, even
Absolutely.
though, you may have dead people at your
Yeah.
door at 5:30 in the morning.
Well, they're
but
also
they really want
loud.
what's-
They're gonna do whatever they have to do to get you where you're supposed to be. I'd spent a good time ignoring them throughout my life, so
Yeah,
they had
well.
they had to up their game a little bit and get me there, but they did. And and again, just working with wonderful teachers that I found, and great spiritual teachers and other mediums that helped me put a lot of things into place. I wouldn't be here today without them. So
Great.
that's been fantastic for me, and getting some control over it, and then learning as much as you can. And in the beginning, you just want to do it all the time because you're like, everything
what?
makes talk to spirit.
Talk to
Basically,
spirit all
I
the
would say mediumship for me. That's what it is. Interacting with spirit. I was getting messages for people that I didn't even know, friends of friends, and
Well, you asked to do it, I guess. So once you ask, it really does it flood in?
it
with all
did.
this
It
information?
exactly.
Okay,
It was
she
the
said I'm
floodgates
going to do it.
opened.
Okay, boom.
Yes, exactly. The floodgates opened, and then I had to go back and close them a little bit, not all the way, and just kind of reset and focus. It takes a lot of focus and control to get the good boundaries, and
Focus and control for boundaries, because
Yeah.
the spirit world needs to know that you have a physical life.
I'm a spiritual being having my human experience.
Exactly.
So I'm entitled to my human comforts of sleeping through the night. Well, not so much with a 7-month-old right now, but someday off in the future. So yeah, that really helped a lot and made things into me. And then I just couldn't. I feel compelled to do it when I'm not doing mediumship. I don't feel that I'm living my soul's purpose. I have 2 amazing children. I have a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old, and being mom is definitely my other big number 1 in my heart, but being a medium is a very close number 2. If I'm not doing it, I'm not living my true purpose. And so they did an awfully good job getting me off my tracks of the other things I thought I was meant to do here. And so I guess I feel like I owe it to them in a sense. Does that make sense?
Owe it to the
Owe it
spirit
to
world?
spirit world, I guess. Yeah, to be their voice, to be, to give voice to the dead, because they're still here, they're still relevant, and they still have their opinions and their feelings, and they just want a voice.
That's all they want is a voice. And so
Absolutely.
you are the voice. And you find that spirits are loving beings, that there's nothing to be afraid of. If people think they're going to do something to us, like the guy in the doorway at 5:30 in the morning. I mean,
Oh,
it
goodness,
is
you
terrifying
just-
when to all of a sudden see it, but it's just that more the knee-jerk reaction of
Absolutely.
like if you see a snake going by, and you kind of have the start.
Right.
It's
You go,
so
"Ooh,
not
it's a snake."
expected.
That snake's just trying to go home.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Exactly. And that spirit might just say, "Hey, my brother's about to have surgery tomorrow. Can you tell him I said I'll be there?" And right. It's simple
That's
messages.
great.
Absolutely. And it makes, a lot of people think mediumship is about the living, right? Because we want to hear that our loved ones are okay and they're doing well, which is important and fantastic. And I strive to do that as well. But it's also about spirit. They have their messages that they need to convey as well. Sometimes it's as simple as, "I'm sorry. I got perspective once I crossed over, and, I may have treated you terribly for the last 20 years, and I need you to know that I am truly sorry, because I couldn't say it in life, but I can say it now in death." And sometimes I feel, from my perspective, sometimes it's more important in death, because you've truly had that place to sit back, take a look at everything, and go, "Okay, I get it. I get what I did. I get what I could have done differently, and I would at least like to make it up to somebody." Yeah, so it's just as important for the spirit world as it is for the living, is what I would say.
Okay. And so your experience of the spirit world is very loving and caring, and you've never had experiences of them trying to hurt someone.
No, I have not.
Because that's really something that's important to dispel.
Absolutely. I've never had any negative experiences personally. I mean, do you feel energy that sometimes is more dense, or, you walk into people's home, people think, like I did at that time, maybe I have a haunted house. It doesn't feel good. Sometimes it feels creepy. But I said, I tell people, if you had somebody just sitting, if it was your grandmother and she was standing in the back room watching you, but you didn't know she was in the house, yeah, you'd feel creeped out maybe a little bit, but it doesn't mean she's doing anything wrong. She's just showing up for a visit. So it's just it's just the same as
That's the truth.
Well, exactly. It might feel creepy just because you don't know that somebody's there watching you, but typically no, it's just loving energy. They just want you to know that they're there with you, and that, a lot of people coming forward to tell me that we're still a family. They don't want people to look at their family as broken up or disconnected. We're still a family unit. We're still together, and we want you to know that we're still here. So I've been lucky enough to not have any of the negative experiences personally. Sometimes do people have grief on the other side, or regret for some of the decisions they've made? Yes, they can have those feelings, but they're still in a place of peace. So
you believe that spirits on the other side have feelings?
Absolutely. Or I wouldn't have much of a job. Yes, they do. It's much like any emotion that we have in that sense. They're liable to have, except for they come from a much better place of view. They have perspective. They can see the whole picture. And that clears up a lot of the feelings that we struggle with here. Once you have that perspective, it's just not an option for them anymore.
So some of the feelings like guilt and shame, they realize that they had those when they were physical, but they don't necessarily have them in the spirit world.
Yeah, in a sense of sometimes, I do get people that have crossed over and maybe they made some really bad choices in their life. And so there are some legitimate feelings of guilt. I should not have done that. Like I said, they can come through in a reading and express that to the person that I'm sitting with.
Is it a feeling they're expressing or just a knowing?
It's usually a feeling, a knowing, and a hearing.
Oh, that's how you get it.
Yeah, I experience it, and I'm seeing them visually. I'm seeing symbols and videos and different things internally. I'm hearing voices. It's not a perfect two-way communication, but I am hearing things. I'm also feeling physical sensations on my body, like death injuries or illnesses they would have had, and emotional impressions as well. Wow. And so that's happening all at once. So I always tell people, my hardest job is getting it out of my mouth.
Putting words to it all.
Exactly.
Well, I forgot to mention that this is a call-in show for our viewers out there. So if anyone has any questions for Marissa, this is really fascinating to get in touch with the mediumship and our deceased loved ones that are on the other side that you might want to talk to or know a little more about. So if you'd like to call in, the number's 603-413-0223. And so we are live right now, and this is Thursday. So this is really fascinating. I love this subject because it's so universal, because not only humans but also all beings pass over into the spirit world once they shed their physical body. They are still alive, and I believe my feeling is that that's what Jesus came to show us when he descended from the tomb, was that we still are alive, we're still around, we're still here, we never die. And so mediumship is so important to help people, I believe, maybe soften or accept that fact that our loved ones are still here. Maybe if you go back to your grandmother's house, or maybe, like you said, if your grandmother or your mother or whoever is wants to be around to see what you're up to in the spirit world, but she comes into your house, it's not something to be afraid of. It's something to welcome and maybe create a connection so you can converse.
Absolutely.
With that deceased loved one that really wants to let you know that they're okay, maybe, or maybe give you advice, maybe help you, like that person who was having surgery and his brother wanted to let him know that he was there for him. I mean, there's all this whole gamut of information that is so valuable, that why not use it?
Absolutely.
For the best.
Absolutely. And my readings differ a little bit in the sense that people usually come forward, and every medium reads differently. Every medium experiences things differently. But I would say how my readings differ from other mediums, basically my souls want to come forward and they want to validate things and say, I'm here and I want you to know I'm okay, or whatever it is that they have to say. And then they do usually want to expand on what's coming up for you in the future. Oh, I can see you've been struggling with this purchase of the house, and I want to let you know that, it's not coming up for you yet, but March is right around the corner and something big is coming for you in that sense. So I love that they give little tidbits to let that person know, not only, yes, I'm here to tell you that we are still a family, but I'm also here to validate what's been going on in your life, so you can understand that I really am watching and I really am a part of this, and I still want to be helpful to you. So cool. For me, it's kind of the whole package. I like that they give this to that person, and that person leaves feeling like they have just comfort, not only comfort, but something to look forward to, and something to really make them feel like my loved ones are around me and supporting me in my decisions.
Fabulous. And where do you do your readings?
I have an office in Nashua, off of Amherst Street, and so I do private readings. I do phone readings as well for people that are out of town and out of state. I've got clients all over, even Arkansas, Texas, wherever, phone readings, people always have that question, are phone readings the same? How does that work? Spirit shows up on my end, so they don't care where you are. They'll find a way to get to me one way or the other. So phone readings work just the same. But I have an office in Nashua, and I do private readings there, and I also do group readings at people's home. I travel sort of all over New England for those. People love the group readings because I love them as well. To have family groups together. Sometimes we do ladies' night out, but families are fantastic because that's when you'll often get multi-generations, and then the matriarchs will come in and say, the sassy one, the one that was always sassy, and she's going, that you've got a woman going there, that's not me, I have no idea what you're talking about. Our sisters are going there, oh yeah, we know exactly why mom's calling you sassy. And so they come with those great validating pieces, and personality comes across really big. So
that must be so much fun for you. I can really feel how enjoyable it is for you to do that.
I love it. I can't think of a better job in the world. And that's what I always tell people, it's such a pleasure because not only do I get to know my clients, which are wonderful, I get to know their loved ones. And it's funny because people go, well, what about the grumpy, curmudgeon-y old men? I'm like, oh, you're kidding. Some of those are some of the best people. Because you'll have, just the personality is so clear and crisp and comes forward so
right, and they had a reason for being so curmudgeon-y, or it might have just been their mask that they had to wear so people would know who they are or whatever. They really, deep in the heart, they're different.
Right, or they might even come, I will get spirits occasionally that they would have never believed in this in life. They thought mediums were frauds and whatever, and so they'll sort of come up next to me with and I'll see them, their hands are crossed, and they won't look directly at me, and they'll
I don't want to know that you're here, but you're going to help me.
And I'll say, can you give me something else? And they'll say, well, tell her I remember third grade, or just they won't tell me directly. Voice they will, but they won't look at me. Just enough to make that person go, oh, okay, that's definitely Uncle Joe coming through. But they usually evolve through the reading as well, so they might come forward a little bit like, but then by the end of the reading, they warm up and are open to me because once they realize their messages are getting across, that's what they care about.
That's what the
they see their loved ones light up, and okay, I want to partake in this. This is my opportunity. I'm going to go for it. So
cool.
Yeah, I love the group readings as well. And I do galleries. I have a gallery coming up that is a gallery event. So there will be a limited seating of 50 people at the Hampton Inn in Nashua. And that will be Saturday.
Hampton Inn.
Yeah, Saturday evening, May 10th from 7 to 9 p.m. And that's the
Hampton Inn in Nashua.
Yeah, it's right off of Exit 8. It's right there on the corner. It's really nice space, and it'll be the night before Mother's Day. So I'm sure we will have a flood of people coming in.
So how do you do a gallery reading?
I love gallery readings.
So there's 50 people in front of you, and so what do
there's 50 people that will come, and basically Spirit comes through one at a time, and I'm reading them, and I will get the information.
So
and
Spirit comes to you, and you get the information, and then someone in the audience kind of owns that?
Yep, absolutely.
My loved one?
Either they tell me where I'm going, and I know who I'm going to, and I will step forward, or I throw it out to the audience. I usually throw it out to the audience because I don't want to, single anybody out before it's their time. And then I'll say, I have a male who passed in, his 50s, passing from a heart attack, that's telling me he's a father and has a daughter here, and, some other piece that might come forward. And I'll say, does this make sense to anybody in the audience? Somebody will raise their hand, and I'll come to them and I'll say, is this your father? Does this make sense? They say yes, and then we continue on with the reading, and they get a nice snippet, and it's a group experience. Everybody else gets to feel the power of mediumship.
Right.
It's a great introduction for people that maybe want a reading but are a little bit nervous.
And because they're all there, they're already giving you permission to do this, because they came here for that. So it's not like you have to go, is it okay if I come to you?
Right.
They're already there, so the permission is sort of given by their attendance.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just, I love the group experience, just like I get in the smaller group readings. Everybody, even if you don't get the reading, you're walking away with something because you're walking with the power of mediumship and seeing Spirit come forward to their loved ones and how healing that can be.
You can feel it. I know I've been in that experience, and I get chills when there's that confirmation, and that you just know, watching the medium and the person receiving the message, it just sends chills down my body because I can feel the authenticity and the reality. Wow, that's real. That is so real.
Absolutely. Yep.
It is true.
It is. You can feel the energy move right through. And that's, people always wonder, why do we get teary because, we miss people or we have.
Yeah, you must feel the emotions of the person on the other side,
I
right?
do as well. Yeah, it takes, that's another piece when you're learning control and boundaries, is to sort of push not let it get a hold of you to the point where you outwardly express it. Exactly. There's those few readings every now and then where, you only have so much control.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you work hard to get there too.
So anger never comes through? Or fear, or like lower vibrations?
Maybe, no, not like as in a present state. They might validate those feelings in the past or how they may have related into their life.
Right.
But no, not in a present state.
So when you're doing gallery readings, that's because they're on the other side, they're in the light, they're in a loving,
a higher vibration.
They're a higher vibration, so
Yes.
there's no way they can vibrate to that other place.
Right.
If people are afraid of that aspect of it, going to a gallery, there's
would
nothing to be
absolutely.
afraid of, because the person that comes through, the spirit, is vibrating at a rate that cannot...
Which I'm not even open to receiving messages from. I'm only open to receiving messages from a certain high vibration, which is loved ones that have crossed over, what you're saying. Exactly.
Right.
So, no
Great.
fear at all.
It's exciting. May 10th. I'm going to keep that. Okay, we have a caller coming in. Doris. Okay, let me... Hello? Hi, Doris.
Yeah.
Hi, you're on the air. How can we help you? This is Karissa.
Could you give me a reading?
Can you give her a
Could you
reading
just give me a reading?
Right now? A mediumship
Yeah.
reading?
on the phone?
We can try it.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just give me a minute to tune into your energy, and we'll see who steps forward for you. Let's see.
I'll give a little gong to kind of move the energy in that direction. Thanks for calling, Doris. Hold on a minute.
All right. I have a male that steps forward. I would say that he passed probably in his mid-60s to me, mid to late 60s. And he keeps bringing me to the chest associated with his passing. I'm feeling like there was a lot of different health issues going on here. I don't want to pin it to just lungs and heart, because it feels like, again, multiple issues in the chest. He seems like a little bit of a heavy-set man. And does that make any sense to you?
In his 60s?
I would say passing probably in his mid to late 60s.
He's already passed?
Mediumship readings are talking about people that have already passed, yes.
Yeah, well, my husband passed 3 years ago, yesterday.
Okay. And did those pieces make sense for your husband?
He did have a lot of pain. He had cancer.
Okay. And did he have a lot of pain radiating in the chest area?
Well, it's digestive system.
Yeah. And he's taking me to telling me at the end of his life he really struggled with the difficulty breathing and he's telling me that he couldn't communicate the way that he wanted to at the time of passing. Can you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he's making me feel like he was, there were still attempts for him to communicate to you, like he was really struggling to get some of the words out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't clear cut. Okay. So he's stepping forward to thank you and thanking for you for taking care of him as he was passing. He keeps telling me it was a significant burden for you. Can you understand that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so he wants to say thank you because he's joking about your personality and saying that, you can be one of those people that can be a little bit straightforward. And he's saying, listen, if somebody else were doing it, if this were somebody else she was taking care of, she might not have had such a problem telling them, hey, this is a lot. This is a lot for me to take on. But he said she never did that with me, and she never made me feel like I was a burden to her at all. So he's thanking you for that experience and telling me that was the ultimate gift that you gave him to take care of him. So you have you have children with him as well?
Yes, I have a boy and a girl.
Okay, because that's what he's showing me is the two children, and he's like got this wonderful smile on his face, saying that it was one thing to watch you take care of the children that you had together as a mother, but then for you to care, you cared for him like he was one of your child, as he was ill and dealing and going through his dying process. And so he's saying he really felt the incredible love that you had for him, and just it was a very humbling experience for him, is what he's telling me. And so he's just saying thank you. He has so much love for you, and he wants you to know that he's always with you, and for your children to have that knowledge as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
Is that
Thank you.
You're very
Okay,
welcome.
thanks for calling, Doris.
Thank you so much for calling.
Hey, thank you.
And you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Once they get talking, they just keep going.
They keep going.
They do.
Wow.
They come on loud and strong, so.
Interesting. Wow, that was great.
Thanks.
Thanks for calling, Doris, and hope you got some good information from that.
Yes, and you can always contact me on my website, too, at www.karissadorman.com, and that's Karissa
Karissa
Yes.
.com, KarissaDorman.com
Absolutely.
to connect in with Karissa if you want to know more information or sign up for a reading or something.
Absolutely.
And you're right here in Nashua, KarissaDorman.com. Wow, that's great.
Thanks.
And so how do you feel now after giving a reading, after
Good.
connecting with Spirit? Does it
Thrilling.
does it energize you? Or?
It does. It energizes you to a certain extent. That's why I love galleries, because with one short reading, you want to keep going. You want to keep going, get to the next person. And then, after you turn off a few hours later, you're usually quite exhausted, because it takes us a good amount of energy to raise your energy to that high vibration.
So what do you do
are.
to take care of yourself after a gallery reading?
Oh, well, decompressing is...
Decompressing.
Yeah. Eating a lot of grounding food.
Like a good steak.
Yeah, yes. Steak is
Go to a nice
fantastic.
steak.
Spinach, steak, potatoes, things like that. Yeah, grounding food and just, my kids. Just touching, loving on my kids. That gets me right back into the moment, right back into the present. So that always helps. And extra sleep. Extra sleep always helps. After big events.
Yeah, it does take a lot of energy.
It does, yeah. It's not something that you can do 8 hours a day, not every day anyway. So that's why people, if you choose to do it as something that is meant for your career as well, you have to go into it knowing that there's obviously a very delicate balance. You have to have that physical experience, so you have to take care of yourself. And
you have to have the physical experience that happens when you're reading people.
Absolutely.
Because it does pull energy, or takes energy from you.
Right. Well, I want to be able to give people those validating pieces.
You have an amazing, that's really amazing, your moral, ethics around being of service in the way that you are. That's really commendable. And
Well, thank you.
Especially moving from wanting to be a doctor to becoming a medium and putting those on the same echelon, of the same, weighing them on the same scale as being equal. And finding that is your calling. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you're really excellent at it.
Thank you. I choose to see it as people don't necessarily categorize mediumship as a healing modality. But for me, I choose to see it as the most healing I can do in this world.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, just connecting in with Doris and the fact that was the anniversary of her husband's passing yesterday. And I know I'm coming up on the anniversary of my mother's passing on the 3rd of March. So I know how that is when you're coming up. It's a big, it can be a big anniversary that, you don't want to let go of, but you
Absolutely.
don't want to always remember, but you do remember because...
Well, you can't not remember.
It's like remembering when Kennedy was assassasinated, which is back in my day. Everyone knows exactly what you were doing and where you were and how that affected you. It's the same for me as when a parent crosses over, or a loved one of any type.
Absolutely. And I definitely feel that I have a special connection to people, to parents that have lost children. That I think being a mother, that gives me a different perspective. And I seem to connect in with a lot of clients that have lost children. And to me, that's just, I can't imagine anything more important than people that have lost children, and then parents and spouses are always the what comes in next. But to give those parents peace, knowing that their children are at peace and still with them, I can't think of anything more important for me to do in this life. So
That's great. Wow.
Thanks.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you came on the show today. I think we got,
Thank you so
we got
much
a
for
few more
having me.
minutes on,
Yeah.
but we wanted to talk a little bit about reading. You also read cards.
I do psychic readings as well, which is working with other people's spirit guides, basically giving me the information. And I do read cards to help back me up on certain issues that sometimes people don't always want to hear.
So that kind of confirm what you're saying, what you're getting.
Exactly.
And then when people see that in a card and you can read the card, it gives them more validation, confirmation of it.
Absolutely.
Of it coming through the way you're talking about it,
Right.
I suppose.
Absolutely. Because your guides are there to tell you what is for your highest and best good, and most of the time I'd say that that jives with what people are thinking. But every now and then you get someone that's saying, absolutely not, I'm not leaving that job ever. And, and then you can say, well, your guides are telling you, and then you get the cards, here it is. I'm not making it up, I promise. And so
well, it's interesting, people kind of blind themselves to what life is really handing them lots of times. And that's why it's important to have readings, because it does give you the opportunity to look at the way Spirit is kind of guiding you to go, even though you go, no, I don't want to go there, I don't want to go there.
And we're all guilty of that at some point in
Exactly.
another. So
I know I am too. So.
Absolutely, me too. I mean, even now, people always ask, well, what's a mediumship like for you? And I'm saying, geez, for me, they could be hit me over the head, and I'm still going to go, yeah, it's not the same. I need readings, I need validation from my peers and other people to tell me, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm pretty sure that Spirit's trying to tell me it's the right move, but I'm still second guessing it. So then you have lovely people like our good friend Lisa Ouellette and coming in and being able to validate that for you through your spirit guides. And that's sometimes just all you need. It gives you perspective and clarity.
Right.
And then you go, okay, I can move through to this. And then everything falls into place.
Fabulous. And do people ask you a question and that's what you read, or do you just is it just sort of a blank reading?
I do both. So I get some people that come to me and go, I don't know what I want. Just tell me something, start. And so I'll go up to their guides and say, what does this person need to know right now? So
when you say I go up to your guides or my guides, or how do you do, what happens for you? So people can understand, what does that mean? I go up to your guides, because we do all have guides, and I talk about that a lot on the show, because I know I work with my guides too. And
absolutely.
For some people that may be a stretch, but it is how you and I and people on this plane we operate, because it's true. It's like people that have passed over are spirit.
Absolutely.
It's just a given.
It is. It's just a shift of focus for me, if you will. So for me, they come in up here for you,
Okay.
up to, whether it be your right. So I just sort of shift my focus, and sometimes I'll close my eyes to make sure that I'm not letting your energy interfere with what they're giving me. or
so I can be kind of sending you like the answer.
You can be sending me what you want to hear. Exactly.
What I want to hear.
Exactly.
So you have to kind of go, well, I don't want to get that. I want to get
right.
what my guides.
Exactly. And then I say, you tell me, Claire, give it to me straight. And
Great.
and then I go back and say, this is what I'm hearing from your guides. And
so are you hearing anything from my guides right now?
To be honest, I have to ask, there's a female figure on the other side for you that I would say that comes in, I want to put her passing probably in her 80s. Her body looks pretty aged to me, and she keeps showing me my sign for something, Alzheimer's or dementia. Do you understand? And so it would be an elderly woman passing in her 80s with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Okay. Probably my mother.
This is Mom. Yeah. That's what she's telling me.
Yeah.
She's Mom. When
she was 81 and she had dementia.
Yeah, and when you were talking about her, she stepped forward right away. And so it's just funny, because she's telling me that we have a lot of things in common, in that your gifts also come from your maternal side, although there wasn't necessarily, not everybody embraced that. Right. And so she's telling me that she's very proud of you, and that you've taken this to an entirely different level than she ever would have thought you had. So, and that you have all of her blessings now, and that's important for you to hear, is what she keeps telling me.
Yes, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. So, and you have a sister as well?
Yes.
Okay. So she's also validating the sister and just telling me that she's embracing all of you, is what she's showing me. So
great. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Mom.
I don't know if this was a thing for her, but she keeps going, keep a smile on your face, keep a smile on your face.
Oh. I don't remember that, but I'll have to think about it. Sometimes you don't remember some of the gestures your parents did.
It's true. Well, she's also telling me that it was important to her to always look on the bright side of life. And that was something that she always strived to give to her kids, is look on the bright side of life.
She always did.
Yeah.
She always did. I have to say that we have a pretty healthy family, and I have 6 siblings, and we're all we're all aging, but we've all been pretty healthy in our lives, other than breaking bones and stuff like that. But I was thinking about that on the way down, how she ingrained in me this knowing that I'm healthy, so that when people around me have something going on, I don't even. There's just no way I even have a concept of it coming in. And so that's one thing I know she gave to me, because I don't think she had a concept. She was really very healthy all of her life.
Absolutely. And so her coming forward with that as your message is her way of also letting you know that she was with you while you were thinking about that on the way down today. I mean, they choose something for a reason. She could have told me, hey, it's going to snow Thursday or something, but she said, hey, remember the optimism piece. Yeah. That's her way of saying, I'm around you and I know what you're thinking and I'm paying attention.
Oh, thank you.
And she's also telling me she feels like you have really celebrated that. You have taken that to a different level. She's funny about not all your siblings have, is what she's telling me. So
They haven't.
Yeah, in a very joking manner, but just saying that you've really embraced that, and so she's proud of you for that.
Oh, great. Thank you.
You're very
Thanks,
welcome.
Mom. Thanks for saying. Thanks for coming through. We'll have to gong on that.
Yeah.
Been gonging a lot. Well, I did a not right after, but maybe a year after she passed away. Back when I don't know if you know, Amethyst Wildfire had a place in Nashua on Pearl Street, and she let me use her space and had a healer come up, a Native American healer came up and met me there, and did a healing on me regarding my grief around my mother. And I just laid on the floor, and she just sat. She stayed in the background, the woman that did the healing, and my mother I was laying on the floor, she just came right down into my body. And I have never grieved again. It was I just know she's here. I just know she's with me on an amazing level.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
You're welcome. She's
Thanks
telling me, I kept hearing from her, it was a ceremony. It was a ceremony. Like
It was a ceremony.
Yeah.
It was a Native American ceremony.
Yeah, and she was just, it's just funny. She's telling me, like, my mind couldn't have wrapped around it in life. Like, I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, she's just showing me, like, it was a little out there, but she was very pleased to come through to you that way. She's just very happy. She just tells me you've been so open and vocal about, with her. I keep hearing you talk to me like I'm still around, and that's very important to her because she feels
great.
very present.
All right. I'll do more of that. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for that, Karissa.
You're very welcome.
Wonderful. Anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I guess to leave people in the audience with that all of your loved ones are happy and doing well, and they're at peace, and always eager to talk and always eager to give you guidance if you feel that you're struggling with something. But more importantly, to just know that everybody does truly find peace, and that our families are all still together. And
so if you've been struggling with a family member that passed over, they are at peace, and that's when we change from physical to spirit. It's a peaceful, higher, elevated expression of who they are.
Absolutely.
And any grudges or any negative frustrations that you've had with loved ones that have passed over, they pretty much forgive you for anything because it's...
Yes, they never hold grudges to the living or anything like that. I mean, that's definitely important to mention. I mean, if you feel, I get a lot of people that, our last phone call, we had hung up over an argument or things like that. And to them, that's so insignificant. And as far as they look at the scope of your relationship, and that's a blip, not even on the radar. So that's not
the scope, which is your whole life.
Exactly. That's not how they remember you, and that's not what they remember. It's us, the living, that are still left with that guilt and that grief. They're not suffering from any of that.
Well, that's so comforting to know that, and I know that because I'm in the energy healing field, but I know my mother's not suffering. I know my dad, he passed away a year ago, he's not suffering, and that's part of what, for me, the letting go is about, knowing that they're no longer in that physical place of hurt that they were in, that could have been in. I mean, some people die instantly and they're not in that place. And
that death is a peaceful process. We sort of shy away from talking about that, and it sort of seems taboo, or we all just commiserate against, wanting to ever even think about it. But that it's a peaceful process. We have loved ones on the other side. We have our own guides. We have angelic beings that come forward and help us move through that. And so to not fear it, it's a part of life. It's necessary. It's not, we always see it as a separation. It's just a separation from the physical body. It's not a separation from family. So.
Right. Separation from the physical body that's the important part.
Exactly.
They're still here. They're still our family. They still love us. And even if you didn't think they loved you when they were physical, they do love you, especially parents.
Absolutely, especially parents.
Yeah, did the best we could do.
And grandparents as well. Oftentimes come forward guiding their younger grandchildren. I love that because
so you must have that with your own children.
Yes.
Grandparents coming through for your two boys.
Yeah, well, they've got great grandparents coming forward through. Yeah,
great grandparents.
Exactly. Oh yeah. My 7-month-old said my grandmother's name. Oh gosh, he's maybe only has.
Your 7-month-old?
My 7-month-old Pat. He was looking at the pictures of her, and I said, "That's Grammy," and he goes, "Pat."
I love it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, and when my other son, when he was I think 18 months, he was tracking an orb, speaking about orbs, all over my kitchen. I mean, his eyes were moving so wildly, and I said, "Honey, what are you seeing?" And he goes, "Uncle Bill." And I have an Uncle Bill that's crossed over.
Oh wow, and he didn't know. And
he had no idea, because I barely remember him from when I was 5. So,
oh my gosh, I love that.
It is. It's in my family. It's in my house. It's normal. So,
and that's good. That's a good way for kids to have a confirmation that they're seeing these things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so if your kids are following something that you think is not there, give them the benefit of the doubt that they're probably seeing someone that's passed over.
Absolutely, yes. Validation is important, because we all tap into that ability, especially as children. And if we don't have to lose it, then we can have that peace throughout our whole lifetime. What a wonderful thing. What more could you wish for your kids?
And I think that's a natural human way to be that we've kind of, in the Western world, pulled away from.
Absolutely.
For one reason or the other. Who knows what reason, but we've pulled away from that.
But we're here for the New Earth lifestyle,
That's
so we're
right.
all getting back into it. That's right. Getting back to our truth.
Getting back to our truth. This is what the New Earth is about. It's actually the full circle of coming back to who we truly are. We're intuitive beings.
Absolutely.
We've always been intuitive beings, but we've had it taught out of us by environment or mores of the social community that we belong to. But we don't need to do that anymore. It's all coming back.
Exactly. I always tell people it's not new knowledge, it's just remembering.
It's just remembering. Me too. I've told people that too. Well, thank you so much, Karissa Dorman, for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So www.karissa.dorman.com if you want to connect with Karissa and find out more about her.
Call really quick.
Oh, you got a call. Okay,
No readings.
Okay. Hello, this is New Earth Lifestyles. You're on the air. Hello.
I just saw you. Yeah, I'm just flipping through the channels, and I just seen you for the first time. I was just wondering what you guys were all about.
Oh, well, this is New Earth Lifestyles, and we just talk about things that you probably don't see in mainstream America. Alternative healing, and today we have Karissa Dorman, who is a medium and a psychic, and she's talking about how she does that. I'm sorry we can't talk to you right now because we're ending the show, but please do call back. Can you call back next Thursday at 2 o'clock or after 2?
We'll see. I was just curious to what you guys were about, that's all.
Okay, well, what's your name?
Brian, thank you.
Okay, thanks for calling. Okay, thanks, Karissa, and have a good week, and remember, your heart knows the way.